Alright guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of Country Boy Gas Garage. Now my name's Jason, and in this episode we're back working on the old Ford school bus. Now we're going to rebuild the water pump that failed on us in the last video while we were cruising it in a classic car cruise. So let's go. That's right guys, we're back working on the 48 Ford school bus. Now last video we had her in the Junction City car cruise and we were having a blast. The bus was doing great until the water pump failed. But given the history of the bus and the state that motor was when we found it, I'm surprised that it did as good as it has. But like I was saying, in that video, we were cruising, and then towards the end, the water pump, the seals started failing, and it started leaking out antifreeze all over the pulleys and belts, and then they started squealing. It started losing enough coolant that it did start getting hot, and that's when we noticed it. Once I topped off the coolant and kind of dried the belts off a little bit and got her back on the road, it stayed cool enough to drive her home and limp it all the way back. It took us about an hour and a half through the night to get her back home, but we could tell that water pump was done. The seals had failed, the bearings were going out, and it was chewing up the belt. Now I did get started on this a couple days ago by removing that water pump, which required me to remove the radiator and some pulleys and some other things. So let me show you that video and get you caught up to where we're at now. This thing work its way all the way out to the tip. Now you don't have to take this crossover pipe off to remove the water pump, but I need to replace that exhaust gasket anyway, and just to make it easier, that way I can clean this up and maybe give it some paint as well. So I'm going to remove this crossover pipe and then continue on removing the water pump. Alright, there she be. I was noticing there was quite a bit of metal flakes, probably bearing material all on here, and the pulley, and you can hear it's pretty grindy, and this thing's yeah, those bearings are shot, and the seal's gone too. So as soon as that new rebuild kit comes in, we'll press out the old bearing shaft, the old seal, and this old impeller, and we'll press the new ones in, and hopefully that goes smooth and we can put this all back together and be back on the road. All right, well, it's been a couple days now, and since then I did kind of degrease the motor a bit. Got some of that antifreeze and coolant residue off of here, plus it had some grease and stuff on it. Yeah, the water pump is all off of here. I also moved that crossover piece from the exhaust, and now I've gone back and cleaned up the mating surfaces there, so you know, when we install new gaskets, those should seal. I put a new little connecting hose here, but now we just need to start working on that water pump. So let's go take a look at it. All right, here it is. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but yeah, there's not much to it. We're just gonna have to get like a gear pulley and pull off this here pulley here, and then from there we're gonna have to use a hydraulic press and press out this inner shaft, which is also going to remove it from this impeller, and we'll be able to get that shaft out of there, which is, you know, a bearing, and then we'll be able to put a new seal in, new shaft, new impeller, and then press this pulley back on. Hopefully successful at doing all of that. Now I ordered the rebuild kit from Dennis Carpenter's Performance Parts here. Let's take a look here. So, water pump repair kit, Dennis Carpenter. There's a part number, I guess. This should be the larger kit for the truck water pump on the Y blocks. And I did kind of compare these. There's a few little differences, but pretty much impeller is the same size. Here's the shaft. The diameters of this and the length are all the same. Yeah, there's a new seal in here and a new gasket. We also got some new retainer clips. Not sure if we need those or not. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and dig out the gear pulley, get it on here, and try to pull this off the shaft. That'll be step one. But I don't have a hydraulic press to remove the rest of this, so we're going to have to go over to a friend's shop. I'll tell you about that a little bit later, but we're going to go over to somebody's shop, and they're going to let us use their hydraulic press and help us out. So, well, let me get started here. Alright, got it out here in the vise to hold this impeller and shaft while we try to pull this off. Here we go. Try to reset. Alright, hopefully that holds it. I don't want to stay in there. That's just spinning it out of the vise. Dang it. Need a bigger vise. Well, guys, my vise is just not big enough to hold that in, so I'm going to figure out something else. Alright guys, I'm just trying different things right now because I don't have a bigger vise. Maybe at the shop we go to later, they have a vise big enough to hold this, and we'll be able to do it all there. But in the meantime, I'm going to try a few different things. One of them is just trying to jam the impeller up by running a big screwdriver through there and running a bolt through here. See if that'll work. I can already see this is kind of getting a little cockeyed, a little off center. I'd like to keep that centered up, so I'm going to reset this here. Try to get this to pull straight. Alright, let's give it another go. Well, looks like it's going to be putting up a fight. We'll apply a little heat on the subject. It's not giving. New battery, that might help. I started feeling as if the impeller shaft was being pulled off the bottom and this whole thing was being pulled out. But that can't be right. Huh. The whole thing is rotating, meaning, because I'm holding the impeller, that means it's spinning right there, and the impeller is going to come off. That's not exactly the order that I wanted to come off. Okay, well, as I'm jamming the screwdriver down here in the impeller to hold it in place and driving this out to pull this off the shaft, the whole thing is spinning, the shaft and all. So I think I'm slowly pulling the whole shaft out of the impeller, which isn't the order that I wanted to do that, but I guess even if we get this impeller in the vise, that's still going to happen, it seems. It seems like this is on there pretty hard, so whatever we do, we're going to be pulling the shaft out of the impeller first. But I guess if we did that, then we could really get that shaft locked into the vise a little better, so we can continue Trying to get that pulley off the shaft. Yeah, I guess I'll just continue working at it, and regardless if this comes off now or if we get it locked into a vise, that's still going to be off, and we'll be able to lock the shaft directly into the vise that way, which hopefully might help. I don't know. All right, let's keep going. Alright guys, I gave it my best shot. You know, without the right tools, I was just struggling. So we're gonna head in town, and we're gonna stop by Jonathan Wade's shop, the Hooligans Car Club. We're gonna swing by there. He's got a hydraulic press. Hopefully it'll work for us, and we can get the job done. There's no guarantees. I'll see you there. Alright guys, here we are at the shop. Everybody's working on projects and they're busy, and we're just going to jump in and start working, so let's go.
That's as tight as far as it goes. So let's see,
It's coming though.
Oh, that was very uneventful.
That's beautiful. Alright, let's give it a try.
Oh yeah, dude.
Might be a little too small. Well,
let it sit under tension for a minute. Yeah. Exactly. All right. So.
All right,
actually,
we're going.
Before we have you changed the oil since you?
Yeah, I did the one No, I changed it
It's
twice.
coming out easy.
Oh yeah, there we go. Awesome. All right, guys, we're moving fast. Let me get you caught up to where we're at. Now, we successfully got that pulley flange off of there, and then we pressed out the old shaft and bearing, and now we've pressed in the new shaft and bearings and the new seal, and as well as a new impeller on the bottom. But we've come into a problem when we went to go press the pulley flange back on the shaft. It just slid on. It's not a press fit anymore. I'm not sure why not. I called Dennis Carpenter Parts Company, and they said they weren't sure why the pulley flange was not tight enough on there to where we had to press it on, that it was just sliding down the shaft. So what we've come up with an idea is to drill and tap the flange so we can run a set screw to hold that pulley on the shaft. So that's what we're doing now.
I can never get taps started.
It's always the scary part for me too.
It says they're open till 5.
All right, guys, here we go. We got the pulley flange. We got some set screws drilled in it. Now we could tighten it on there and adjust if need be. Heck yeah. All right, it's the next day. We're back home. And you know what? I cannot thank those guys enough. You know, Jonathan Wade, George, and Corey, they hooked me up, man. They all came together at the shop yesterday and made it happen. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Now, everyone, please go over to Handmade Hooligans YouTube channel and check it out. Give them a subscribe. You're not going to be disappointed, I promise. Now, before we install the water pump back on the bus, I wanted to kind of give you a closer look at it and show you what we did. All right, I already showed you the old shaft and bearings that we pressed out, and this thing they're totaled, and part of the seal is stuck on the shaft, and you know that we pressed in the new stuff, and that all worked out great. But then, like I was showing you, when we went to press the pulley flange back on, it just slid on the shaft. It was supposed to be a press fit, but for some strange reason, it's not fitting right. So, well, this is a little chewed up from when we pulled it off with the gear puller. But the guys there milled down this shoulder to get a flat surface because it was at a sharp angle. And with the flat surface, they were able to drill and tap a couple holes that we put in some set screws. So now once we get this mounted on here, and I took measurements to figure out exactly the right placement, we'll be able to lock those set screws in, and that should work. I am gonna pull those out so I can mark the shaft right where those set screws are gonna set, and I'm gonna try to drill just a little divot. I know this is a hardened steel, so I probably won't be able to drill into it, but if I just get a little divot, or even like use a file or a grinder and just make a little flat spot right where the set screw sets, that'll probably help bite it on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then get this installed on the bus. All right, I got that pulley flange mounted on there. Went ahead and used a little grinder just to hit a little flat spot on that shaft right where those set screws set, and put some blue Loctite on them and got it to the right measurement and cranked them down. It's all set on there nice and tight, so let's get this thing installed. Alright, Houston, we have a problem. Well, tightening the water pump on, this bolt snapped. I don't know why. I didn't even get to the point where I was torquing on it. I was just tightening the water pump up, and this bolt snapped right there. That means it's broken off probably in the block back here, which means we're gonna have to take off this whole front dress and this whole front water pump adapter plate, which, I mean, so we got to take off the alternator and brackets, fuel pump, the front harmonic bouncer, and then we're gonna have to get this motor lifted up some and take off that front motor mount so we can get this whole front cover off and hopefully be able to get that broken bolt out of the block. It's just part of working on these old cars, I guess. You know, this isn't the first time this has happened on the bus. But unfortunately, I'm all out of time for this video. So, in the next video, we're going to have to tear into the front of this motor and try to get that broken bolt out of there. Not fun, but it's got to be done. So, that's what we'll be doing. Alright guys, that sucks, man. But it's just the way she goes. Unfortunately, we're all out of time for this video, though, so we're going to have to dive into that next week. Me and my family are actually taking off for a week out of town, so when we get back, we'll dive back into that bus and hopefully be able to get that broken bolt out of that engine block. You know, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So if you guys could help support the channel by going over to www.countryboygasgarage.com and check out the merch site. You know, we got t-shirts and hoodies and stickers. Pick you up something and help show your support. And I also want to give a huge shout out to my members. It's without your monthly membership fee, we wouldn't even be able to do this. So I appreciate all of you guys. And if you're not a member of the channel, please consider doing so. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, guys, the Emerald City Shakedown is coming up on July 22nd. So if you're in the Northwest, you gotta be there. And of course, like always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You like, comment, share with your friends. And until next time, peace.